This is It Has Pockets,
a podcast about celebrating our everyday and sharing the things we're all holding. I'm Abby.
And I'm Laura.
And today we are talking about
online friendships. I don't know why I made it sound like it was a cheer. It's not necessarily a cheer, but we are cheering them on. We're talking about friendships that we create through our presence online.
I actually love when people say, I'm not on social media. And then my response is always, I love that for you. I am guessing you have a much more peaceful life. Let's exchange phone numbers. People feel guilty about it. And I'm like, no. Like, if that is not bringing you joy, if social media is not bringing you joy, like.
But that's a great response because usually my response is, how am I supposed to get a hold of you?
Do you
like, how do I contact you? Are we going to be friends?
But no, I want to always validate people who say I'm not on social media.
That's a wonderful response.
I also don't want it to sound like it's a bad thing because I am on social media, and we're going to talk about how friendship has happened over social media. And for me, I found some of the dearest people in my life through social media. So it's a good thing. But yeah, if I'm talking to a kid's mom from school, or we meet in another situation and they say, yeah, I'm not on social media, I always try to validate that because I
really like
choices.
that. Okay, say the line again. Say the
hi,
nice to meet you, Abby. I'm not on social media though.
I'm like, we're vibing. I want to keep up with you. I'm immediately like, are you on Instagram?
No, I don't do social.
And I'm like, I love that for you. I bet you live a very peaceful life. How can we communicate? And then I'll have them
that down.
I'll have them put their phone number in my phone, and then I'll text them.
That's really, really good. So we talked about it in another episode, but Abby and I actually met online, and we've been able to take our online friendship into the real life. Abby, do you want to talk about how we met really quick?
I jumped in Laura's DMs. I actually was looking through hashtags and locations in order to find people in my area that might want to be part of my product. I was finding people, and I didn't just message everyone that I found. And when I found people that I thought, yeah, I think this is somebody that I would want my product to be connected to, and I as a person would be connected to, I jumped in their DMs and I offered them an opening to wear my earrings. And then Laura and I became friends.
Hit it off.
Laura, maybe talk about where you were at that point.
I've really, really relied on social media for friendship building. And a part of that is also because I moved to Fort Worth when I was 30 weeks pregnant. That is probably the worst time to try to meet friends nesting. Or learn about a new city or figure out where you fit in the world just as a person.
For sure.
When I moved here, I didn't know much about the city. I did a lot of research online, and I looked at people, businesses, all these things, and I used social media as a sort of resume for friends, for businesses, for places I wanted to exist in with my family. The idea of jumping into people's DMs, that was already something I was doing and familiar with, and also familiar with the structure of.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially how I built my community in Fort Worth.
For sure. And I think the thing that worked for us is from the beginning, we had a lot of clarity. When I jumped into your DMs and I wrote your DM, I was very clear about what I wanted from you, what I was willing to offer. And at the time, it was a very transactional thing. I made it really clear what I wanted from you, what the obligations would kind of look like, and what I was willing to give. And that really helped our relationship as it grew.
I think a lot of people discount transactional relationships, but in actuality, they lay the groundwork often for very real friendships. And transactional doesn't always mean money exchanging hands. It doesn't mean necessarily trade for services. In this case, it's very hi, I need to know you because you're in my kid's class.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be friends with you for a specific reason. And I need to at least build a fundamental, basic relationship with you.
Because it's a friendship that you're searching out, I think it's okay to be honest about what you can bring and maybe what you're looking for. Transactional feels so gross, but
the term really takes away from it. But transactional relationships are kind of vital to every day.
Was telling Laura what I was looking for and gave her a lot of space to tell me how it would work for her and what she was looking for. And so quickly we moved from work relationship to a real friendship.
Yeah. There's this sort of undertone to online relationships that they're not real because they're not in person.
Right. We hear that all the time. We hear people say, well, it's not a real relationship because you're not seeing them in person or they don't really know your real life.
Or there's some sort of description where you're like, oh, I'm hanging out with my online friends. I'm doing a meetup with this online friend.
Yeah.
But you can just call them friends. And I think that barrier is a little high for some reason, specifically with online friendships.
But there are, in quotations, real life friendships that are as surface as online friendships. The thing that church person or that school person or that other work person knows about my life is probably as much, if not less, than something I'm going to share with an online friendship. And yet we don't have that same stigma of like, that's not a real friend.
Right.
So it's just...
There's a lot of just weird discounting.
I don't understand that.
And I could go off on a soapbox of how I just think that our current age is just constantly wanting to discourage specifically women from developing deeper relationships.
Right.
And part of that patriarchal system at work is the discounting of authentic relationships and even a place where it would have us doubting our own self. But I won't go into that. Another episode.
The other thing that I've learned about friendships where this comes into play is that women tend to think that a friendship is not real unless it is completely transparent on every part of your life. That's a myth. If anyone has that feeling of, well, they're not real friend because they don't know everything about me. That's not true. You can have a true friendship in one facet of your life. So we have friendships that are based on something that is common between the two of us that can be seen as a real friendship, even if it doesn't translate to every part of your life.
There is a great book that I just read by Lane Moore. You Will Find Your People, How to Make Meaningful Friendships as an Adult. And I know that's not specifically online related. That's kind of just in general friendship related. But she talks a lot about finding that clarity within your relationship and also how to deepen relationships. I really, really loved her book. And I actually found her from somebody sharing an Instagram meme that she made. So I went and checked out her page to make sure that she was a safe person I could share. And I saw that she had this book and immediately went to my library page and put it on hold. Lane Moore, You Will Find Your People, How to Make Meaningful Friendships as an Adult.
Making friendships is really hard for multiple reasons we're not going to get into here for our generation. Since we're kind of sharing books, I do want to share the book Platonic by Marissa G. Franco. It is fantastic about friendships and how we downgrade friendships from how we look at romantic relationships.
It's really
I just want to share that one as well.
The lack of emphasis placed on maintaining our friendships is a common situation, and how we do that online is also different from how we maintain our friendships in person.
Yes.
When you're talking to your friend online, you are missing a huge aspect of nonverbal communication that you get with a friend face-to-face. Facial expressions, nuance, sarcasm, tone, all these sort of aspects that go into our sentences that convey thoughts, feelings, and sometimes you're having really, really deep, meaningful conversations with friends online.
Yeah.
Not having those aspects of a conversation can be detrimental.
Absolutely. I think what we're saying all over all of this is that friendships take initiative. And they don't happen organically. So you are going to want to put the same purposefulness, care, and even work into an online relationship that you would like to move into a friendship.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the pros of online friendship. What are some pros that you see?
When I think about the pros of social media friendships, immediately I go back to little teenage Laura, who grew up in a small mountain town in Arkansas. And there was no way I could meet people with similar interests or honestly even develop my own interests because I wasn't aware. And part of that is also just the creation of the internet and the creation of widespread knowledge and understanding. But also social media allows us to connect with people who you wouldn't connect with in proximity. For me, being someone who's into spooky stuff, being primarily involved in an evangelical world, I did not have a lot of people who shared my interests, and that's just it. I'm the weird one out. Online, you're just able to connect over these interests in ways that you would never be able to explore without it.
I love that. One of the pros that I see to online relationships is this timing aspect, where a person that I am friends with in real life, it may be difficult for us to get our schedules to line up. Online, I can interact on my timing and they interact on their timing. And it is so nice to know that I can leave a DM, I can leave a Marco Polo, which is one of my preferred ways of communication. That works out really well for me in this time of life.
I agree. Like I said, when I moved here, I didn't know anybody and I could only interact with people during nap time.
Yeah.
While I was hanging out with a baby. So I did all my sort of exploring and meeting people online. I think that the timing aspect is so huge to parents.
Another aspect of the timing that works really well is it allows you to be friends with people who are really diverse. It is very hard to line up real life schedules with people who are living different lives than you. Sometimes because of just location, sometimes because of way of life is looking like, and sometimes because of boundaries that either I or the other person would need to put in place and a lot of safety that would need to happen before we could have a relationship that exists in a tangible face-to-face situation. It has allowed me to become friends and support people that I would have a difficult time finding ways to connect in real life. Online relationships have allowed me to have that experience, to be there for somebody who is in a different stage of life, a different perspective, a different orientation, and really be there for them and support them in ways that would be difficult in a tangible local way. I believe that it makes me a more empathetic person. I am so thankful for that. So how do you go from, I'm watching this person online, I think we have things in common, I want to do more in our online friendship. How do we go from that to something that is beyond just the emojis, the liking of posts?
You can only do so many fire emojis and heart eyes. You know what I mean?
We love a hype here.
Yes,
we love it. But I am not going to assume that if you're hyping me up, it's because you want a friendship. Okay?
There are some really, really great steps that I have implemented and that I have had people use when developing a deeper friendship with me, and I love them. We hit a little bit on earlier how there is a lack of nuance, a lack of tone, a lack of all of these things that you would get non-verbally in the presence of somebody. So that means that you need super clarity. The clearest of clear, as our girl Brené says. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And so if you are looking at somebody and you're going, hey, that resonated with me, tell them. Tell them. The risk is what? You look a little extra?
Yeah.
What? It's fine. That moment of saying, I want to separate myself from just another person telling you that you're awesome. Creating DMs that have intentionality behind it, where you're not just saying, hey, love that for you, looking good, but you're actually saying, that meant something to me, and I love that.
Since you guys are at the table with us, right here in this podcast, in this moment, let's talk a little bit about how we can move from being an audience member kind of friendship into behind the scenes, hanging out in the dressing room with somebody you know online. So the clarity is important. And if you want to meet them in other spaces, invite them to meet you off of the social media platform. If they live locally, invite them out for coffee.
Absolutely.
be aware that the person might reply with, hey, I don't have space for that right now. And that's okay.
You can provide all the clarity you want. Someone might not be looking for friends at this exact moment. That is okay.
And the other way around, if you're the person who is receiving a lot of attention, a lot of interaction from somebody, at some point, it's good to be clear back. It's good to say, I don't have the ability or time to do much beyond this, but I am so grateful you're here. Online is merely a territory. It is a space. This is another spot that you meet people.
One of the things that I do a lot is I ask for addresses.
Yeah.
Let it be known, please don't immediately jump into someone's DMs and ask for an address. That's not the way to do this. It's not the way. Have a relationship first. And then send them a card. Send them something that says, I care about you.
One of the things I like to do is connect other people with things. So we're with spaces. And what this can look like is somebody that I get to know that lives far away. If I come across something that I know is happening in their city, or if we're talking about books, say, I'm going to search out like a bookstore in their area and be like, hey, have you checked this out? Or I'd love to connect you with this. For me, my love language is connection. And so you were saying gifts, right? Like that's one of the ways that you show love. For me, I love the idea of connecting them with something that's tangible and real in their space, whether it's a business, an artist, some sort of something.
That's like really thoughtful.
Because I can't be there, right? I can't be in Pennsylvania, but I can find a bookstore or a coffee shop that maybe isn't on your radar. And then when you get to go and be there, in my mind, that's a tangible way that I get to be part of your life.
Incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah. When you can connect someone with a local business, a local organization.
That's really cool.
I don't know. To me, that just feels like as close to me being in person. So if I see like a really cool bookshop and I think like, oh, this bookshop is so cool, it's in South Carolina. In my head, I think, oh, I know a couple people who are in South Carolina. I'm going to send them, or I'm going to comment with their tagline or whatever. Like, I'm going to connect you with this.
That's really cool.
You do whatever you want with that information, but you know, and
well,
that's really worked for me. Seeing is that it can be done a lot of different ways, and it's as personal as you are your own person. We would love to hear ideas or ways in which you have either reached out to people online or ways people online have reached out to you and it has meant something for you. So for sure, let us know what parts of this conversation triggered interest in your brain so we can continue to make these podcasts really applicable to your life.
Okay, now that we've wrapped up online friendships and
we
tied that up in
the whole thing.
Perfect. There's no more anything to discuss around that. That couldn't be a massively huge conversation that we could go into further. What are some things that we are carrying in our pockets this week? I want to hear one big thing, one little thing.
Okay, a big thing that I'm carrying actually does have to do with this. I just got out of a retreat that was 3 days.
Please explain what a retreat is, because everyone has a different definition of the word retreat.
Okay, well, I think the retreat was supposed to be women who had connected over certain parts of our life. It was supposed to be us just chilling and like getting away and encouraging one another. Actually, what happened was 12 women decided to live their entire inner child, inner teenage life in the span of 48 hours. So it was a little unhinged in the absolute best possible way.
Is it okay to say that there was a common denominator of like some religious trauma there?
Yeah, there's some commonality in the way we grew up in conservative fundamentalism. Finding safety in relationships, I would say, is the common theme over this particular group of women. I knew some of them I had met before, some of them I was related to, some I had never met before. But the way I felt so safe with these women, because before the retreat, we spent hours connecting with each other's stories, listening to each other, creating safe spaces emotionally, allowed us when we were in person to just have the absolute best time. There was crafts, there were some tattoos.
It just like doesn't surprise me at all that you'd go to a retreat where there's crafts.
Yeah, no, literally, I was the craft person.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can hear the shock in my voice.
We were making friendship bracelets.
Of course.
But also some other things that happened were, again, tattoos. We went and got piercings.
Oh my gosh.
We gave each other so many back rubs and just physical love and care. We listened to each other's stories. I cried so many times. One of the girls found out she was pregnant.
Oh my God.
We
oh
shared.
My gosh.
I'm telling you, it was beautiful. It was
Whoa.
unhinged women being safe with each other, and I am obsessed with it, and I want to have more of that in my life.
I think it's fair to say I have never experienced anything like that.
I think it's fair to say
what you're telling me is
that most people have not.
is not something I can relate back to any experience past a night out where I had too much to drink and you're just suddenly best friends with somebody. That's all I got.
No, and
wow,
I will tell you, it has to do with clarity and creating safe spaces that happened online before the retreat. It is really important to create emotional and safety before you have these interactions.
Did you guys stay here in Fort Worth or did you go somewhere else?
Yeah, we were here in Fort Worth. Also, one of the things that we did is that we had a local sex therapist do a Zoom-in call with all 12 of us women, and she was fantastic. Her name is Dr. Celeste Holbrook. She is online. Please follow her. She is here local. She does all kinds of classes, all kinds of things. Let me just tell you, if you have any sort of background with purity culture or with fundamentalness and Christianity towards sex,
which like low-key we're in Texas, so yeah.
Yes. She talked to all 12 of us. We all felt seen.
Interesting.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I love that.
Unhinged.
Here's to more unhinged women.
Yeah. But in the safest way.
Yes, in the safest way. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh.
My little thing is that right now, my kids are really into Percy Jackson. And when my kids are excited about a fandom, I am right there with them. And it's a way to connect with them. I sometimes find it hard to figure out ways to connect with the 3 boys that I have in my home. It's a whole lot. They just came out with a TV series, which we watched together. Right. So that was really fun. I feel like that's just the little thing of like, oh, we're now in our Percy Jackson stage of life. So I'm being there as a cheerleader for my boys as they learn about stuff.
That's cool. My big thing in my pocket is I have now met my goal weight for the past 10 to 15 years. We're talking a goal weight achievement. So I don't necessarily know how to exist in a maintenance realm, but that's not the issue, okay? The maintenance thing isn't the issue. The issue is that when I'm bloated, I can see, or when I have like a super salty meal, I can see that in my body.
Oh, yeah.
And that is new.
Right.
I've never been able to see those kind of changes. And so over Christmas, I did, I guess what was the normal thing is like put on just, like a couple pounds. That is normal, but also not normal for me.
So subtle changes
are being, I can visually see them now. Like, oh, I feel full, but like I look full. It's just a change that I see in my body, and I'm not really sure where to put that because I think that that's a very normal thing for a huge amount of our population. But for me, it's something I really haven't experienced for easily a decade.
Yeah.
So to all of a sudden have a new connection with my body in that way is kind of a little jarring. And it's just one of those things that has me looking in the mirror a little bit more going, what's going on?
Yeah. You're experiencing fluctuations that are more subtle, right?
But I've never been able to see those subtle changes. This is new to look at my body and go, oh,
sure.
Huh. Interesting. And so that's just kind of getting used to my body as it is. And so that's my big thing that just low key is happening all the time.
Right. You're holding it in your pocket, something you're thinking about.
It's there every single time.
And unless we ask each other, this is why I love this question, because unless I ask you about that, that might not come up. You may not pull
absolutely
that up
not.
to talk
absolutely
to me.
not. Absolutely not. Okay, so my little thing, and you can hear me just go, vulnerability. Let me get back to my little thing and being funny. My little thing is actually very serious. It is one of those foot masks that peel off all your skin on your feet.
I'm so
because I have really, really high arches, a la Barbie. That is the only way I'll probably ever be able to relate to Barbie. So I'm going to just like ride that while I can. I don't know, maybe like twice a year I have to do a foot mask because my arches are so high. Have you ever done it?
I have not, but I want to because
this is where everyone is turned off because they're like, oh my God,
I'm
Laura's
like
talking about a foot mask.
This is why
this has been on my to-do list for the past week of just shed my foot skin.
Yeah.
So
love that for you. I love lizard Laura.
It's so gross. I won't put it on social for everyone, okay?
These are the things we carry in our pockets. These are the things we think about, and I think a good friendship is one where we can share the big and little things that are happening in our lives and celebrate
foot shedding.
Celebrate foot shedding, celebrate Percy Jackson, and also just hear each other's stories in a safe way. So where can they find us, Laura?
You can find us online on Instagram at ithaspocketspod, and you can email us at ithaspocketspod@gmail.com. You can find me at Laura_Lape.
And you can find me at abby.bmade.
That's it, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.